Single User Mode, Adding a Clearspan User. Part 2 of this 5-part tutorial describes the process of adding a Clearspan user using Single User Mode. Upon logon by David, the main OpEasy screen is presented as shown. Per the main screen, located directly below the Astra logo, the OpEasy administrator's logon name will appear, in this case, David, followed by the OpEasy administrator's logon level, in this case, a department administrator. This administrator has been granted access to the provisioning application only, and so this is the only application that is available for selection. The applications that appear on the main OpEasy screen will vary from user to user and are dependent upon licensing and privileges granted by a higher level administrator. By selecting the provisioning button, you will begin the process of adding a Clearspan user or phone device as shown here. Notice that the enterprise and group fields appropriately display training and facilities respectively. These fields are not modifiable because the department admin, David in this case, has permission to only this enterprise and group. This OpEasy admin has been given access to only the user function under provisioning. If the OpEasy admin had been given access to functions other than the user, then the interim screen would appear to allow the selection of the user along with the other functions. Select the search button to view all the users that exist within the OpEasy administrator as shown in this example. Per the screen, you will note that the user list shows the users from multiple departments. This is appropriate because the administrator, David, has permission over users in all departments within the facilities group. In some cases, the department field may be blank. This indicates that the user is not assigned to a department. You will also note that the list of users for this enterprise/group consists of just 3 users. If you have many users, you can filter the users by selecting a specific criteria and then using the search selection. Select the Add button to add a single user as shown in the following presentation. This is the only screen that must be filled in to add a Clearspan user or phone device. The mandatory fields are denoted by an asterisk. Again, this method of entry is referred to as using Single User Mode because it allows manipulation of just one user at a time. Let's take a moment and explore the fields. User Profile is a drop-down in order to select a profile. Typically, an advanced OpEasy administrator will have the user profiles in place prior to the basic OpEasy administrator coming to this screen. The user profile contains technical information that when combined with the user information on this screen will result in a complete user and phone build. The advanced OpEasy administrator will name the profiles in a descriptive manner so that the basic OpEasy administrator can easily identify and select the appropriate profile. The last name field will contain the information pertaining to the user's last name. First character cannot be a plus sign, and when combined with the first name, must be at least 5 characters in length. First name field will contain the user's first name and also cannot begin with the plus symbol. Email address. Enter the email address for the user. It must contain the @ symbol. Department. This is a drop-down in order to select the appropriate department for this user. Phone number. This requires a valid phone number for this user and it cannot be in use by another device. Physical location. Input a text description for the physical location of this user's device. This field is used by the 911 for purpose of location, so an accurate description is highly advisable. Voicemail. The options available for this field will be based upon the user's profile selection. Until a user profile is selected, no option will be available for this field. The user profile may allow no selection, so the value presented may not be modifiable, or a drop-down box may be provided with the variations of voicemail that are available. Voicemail password. This field will be presented if voicemail is enabled. The password allows entry into the voicemail portal. Clearspan password. This password is used to allow access to the Clearspan web portal if authorized. In creating this user, the OpEasy administrator selects the drop-down box for the user profile field, and you can see that there are 5 options that exist. These options for the user profile are 39i Conference, 39i Office, 57i General, 57i Lobby, and 57i Office. The advanced OpEasy administrator built these profiles and titled them to identify the type of phone and the group where the phones would reside. In this case, the basic OpEasy administrator knows that he is building a user for the facilities group that will be a 57i phone type, so he selects the 57i Office from the list. With the exception of department and voicemail, all fields are filled in by typing the data into the fields. The OpEasy administrator will select drop-down boxes for the department field and choose either engineering, groundskeeping, or maintenance, in this case, engineering, from the list of departments that are available for this OpEasy administrator. A drop-down list is available for the voicemail field because the user profile specifies that a selection can be made here. The OpEasy administrator can choose from no voicemail, voicemail with no notification, voicemail with email notification, or voicemail with email delivery. In this case, we select voicemail with no notification. By selecting the Apply button, this record will be input and saved to the Clearspan database. The OpEasy administrator is presented the User Modify screen upon depressing the Apply button, and the text saved will appear in blue at the top of the screen. This is an indication that the add of our user was successful. From the Modify screen, changes to these fields associated with this user can be made. Now that we've seen what it takes to create a user using single user mode, let's back up prior to selecting the Apply button to review all the buttons available on the User Add screen. The buttons available are OK, Optional Information, Apply, Cancel, Phone Configuration, and Show Details as shown here. These buttons also exist for the User Modify screen as shown previously, but in different locations. The OK button. In general, pressing OK performs the same function as selecting the Apply, in that the action will be taken. However, when the OK button is used, the screen that follows button push will be the previous screen that was selected. By selecting the OK button from the User Add screen, the screen returned is the user screen that is shown here. Optional Information. This button presents a screen for supplying additional information pertaining to the user. As the title implies, this information is optional. If the desire is to provide this information, it can be added prior to selecting the Apply button during the User Add session, or from the User Modify screen after the user has been created. The only data fields that are automatically filled in on this screen are the time zone and the language fields. These are set by default to Central Time Zone and English respectively. The domain for the phone device alias, which reflects the domain selected by the advanced OpEasy administrator when creating this user profile, will also be filled in. Modification to all fields is allowed, and save changes is accomplished by pressing the Return button, which returns you to the previous screen, or in this case the User Add page, and then selecting either the Apply or OK. Apply button. In general, selecting the Apply performs the same function as selecting the OK, in that an action is taken. However, when the Apply button is used, the user will not be returned to the previous screen. Rather, the User Modify screen for the user just created will be presented. By selecting the Cancel button, the user will be returned to the previous screen, the user screen in this case. Due to the Cancel button being applied, the user would not have been created in this case, and the user would be returned to the user list. Let's take a moment and look at the phone configuration screen. We know this is the phone configuration associated with the user Steve Becker because we selected the phone configuration button from the User Add screen after entering data for this user. Note at the top the enterprise and group associated with Steve Becker are displayed. Below the enterprise and group, the phone device type and template values will appear. This requires some explanation in order to understand where these values originated. As you may recall, when creating this user, the basic OpEasy administrator selected a user profile entitled 57i Office. When creating this user profile, the advanced OpEasy administrator associated the Astra 6757i phone device type and a phone template named 6757i Enhanced Service to this profile. Thus, the associations are reflected here. The phone pictured is an Astra 6757i device, aka 57i device. We can learn from this picture that the phone device has 12 soft keys labeled soft key 1 through soft key 6 and top soft key 1 through top soft key 6. A soft key is soft because it can be assigned any function and it physically is not a raised button on the phone. Rather, the function of the button is performed by selecting the label on the display screen that identifies the function. More details on this will be provided in the next section. We can also learn from this picture of the physical hard keys that are available on this phone and their location. The physical keys are raised buttons on the phone that have specific functions and cannot be altered. Note that aside from the normal telephone keypad, which includes buttons 0 through 9, star, and pound, the following physical buttons are provided with this phone, starting in the lower left corner and continuing in a clockwise fashion. Volume, redial, hold, options, goodbye, the navigational keys, line 4, line 3, line 2, line 1, speaker, headset, and mute. Now note the table entitled Line Definitions to the right of the picture. It is provided to inform us that the 57i phone is capable of supporting 9 lines or extensions. Because we only have 4 physical buttons assigned as lines on this device, we know that 5 more can be defined as soft keys. The table titled Soft Keys is provided to inform us that the 6757i phone is capable of supporting 36 soft key functions. This particular template has been created with definitions for soft keys 1 through 4 only. Note that soft key number 6 is designated as a More key. The More button will not appear on the actual phone unless soft keys beyond the first screen have been defined. So if, for example, 12 soft keys have been defined, then soft keys 1 through 5 will appear on the display, and then the More key will be displayed as soft key number 6. By selecting the More, you will then display the additional soft keys. In summary, the phone configuration button displays the phone device and the template definition associated with this user. There is no capability to modify this template from this screen. It is for visual reference only. By selecting the OK button, you can return to the previous screen. Let's now look at the Show Detail button from the Add or Modify User screen. Note the top half of the screen has gone unchanged. The Show Detail button is replaced by the Hide Details button. A Refresh button appears aside the Hide Detail button, and detail information will appear below the Hide Details button. The Refresh button updates the detailed display as changes are made in the top half of the screen. The details are derived from the user information which the basic OpEasy administrator has provisioned, plus user information that may be defined by an advanced OpEasy administrator. All fields are modifiable. To save any changes that may have been made, simply select the Apply or OK button. This concludes this tutorial for Basic OpEasy User Interface.